I'm Kirby Dolak from LCTV, your host for Watson Drops series on common sewering. Today's episode will continue our understanding of Littleton's wastewater management and common sewering. In episode 2, we learned a lot about water quality and how it relates to sewering from Corey Godfrey, LELWD's environmental analyst. Next, Maren Toohill, Littleton Town Planner, did a great job of explaining the master plan and the economic areas of interest that could potentially benefit or enable future economic development. And then finally, we heard from Nick Lawler, LELWD General Manager, about the process of tying together the identified environmental and economic goals and their results. Today, we're back with Kevin Hunt, Water and Sewer Systems Manager of Littleton Water Department. Kevin, welcome back to Watson Drops. Today we're continuing our discussions on the Littleton Sewer Project. With the Electric and Light Water Department, you guys have been working on this thing since last October. Can you please give us an update on the progress of the sewer needs assessment, which you've been working on with CDM Smith again since March?
Hi, Kirby. Well, it's nice to be back with you. As you know, as you just stated, we've been working with CDM Smith on the sewer needs assessment, which was prompted by the peer review that we had them do starting last December, wrapped up in March. I'm happy to report that we're finally seeing the results of the hard work that we've done over the past 6 months. The first 4 sections of the sewer needs assessment, they're completed at this point, and they're now available on our website for public consumption. The first 4 sections deal with the water quality and environmental analysis that we undertook back in April and May with CDM, going through all the different concerns we have with groundwater, drinking water, our lakes, our streams, looking for any areas of concern. Also, Section 3 deals with the economic evaluation we did with the help of the planning board. And the 4th section that's now posted is basically ranks the areas throughout the town. We took a very holistic approach to the entire town as it relates to sewering. So Section 4 that's on the website basically takes the data that was compiled in Sections 2 and 3 and created a ranking of the areas of concern. I'm happy to report that Sections 5 and 6, we are in the process of finalizing them currently, should actually be wrapped up today, and those will be made public early next week. Sections 5 and 6 essentially deal with the estimated water usage and collection as far as, and that was compiled basically using all of the data that the Littleton Water Department generates from all the meters that we have. We have over 3,200 meters in the system, and we've got all that data now compiled and then added upon that future growth. So what we could expect to see in the future for additional needs for sewering. And then Section 6 deals with the various types of treatment technologies, which I believe Bruce Trumbull will get into later. So we're moving along pretty good. Things are really heating up.
When do you expect that the needs assessment will be wrapped up?
It's a really good question. Obviously, we've been working with CDM Smith since March on this. The goal was to have this wrapped up by September. When we originally signed the contract with CDM Smith for this, we knew it was a fast schedule, that we were going to, looking to do this in a 5-month period. Typically, it takes a little longer. We have worked really hard. COVID definitely has slowed it down a little bit, but we're actually still on track pretty well. Here we are in September. I expect at this point we will have it wrapped up towards the end of this month. There's still a few major components that need to be gathered, and we've been in the process of gathering them really over the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Those include some of the things that I'm sure customers and the residents in town are most interested in being the various solutions that we're coming up with. We've looked at really 4 different options. We originally started with 6 different scenarios. We've eliminated a couple of those scenarios for sewering. So we're down to 4. So we're compiling the financial analyses of each one of those options. Should we go with for the town, developing a phased approach for each as well, because we don't want to just try to construct the entire town, but have a phased approach to that. So we're obviously gathering the financials for that. Siting analysis for a wastewater treatment plant. We've been really quiet on this, but we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. That has really heated up recently. CDM actually did an analysis of every single parcel here in town where they went through the GIS database and worked with LELWD staff to set up some parameters to find a site that would be acceptable for a sewage treatment plant should we go with a scenario that would need that. And that's really gotten moved along really well. Essentially, that I expect to be being able to make some information on that available in the next couple of weeks. And essentially, once we get this done, and obviously we need to make some decisions here based on all the data that we're gathering and the recommendations that CDM is developing, they'll be putting together basically a recommendation plan and a technical memorandum, which will lay out all the findings and kind of give us a path forward. So that's where we're kind of at. It's going to be a busy next couple of weeks as we try to finalize all these reports.
So Kevin, with all this final information being available, how will it be used to prepare the residents for what we can only assume will be an LELWD warrant article coming up on the October 17th special town meeting?
Well, that's a really good question, Kirby. Currently, so the Board of Water Commissioners and the LELWD staff we're in the process of finalizing a warrant article. I don't want to get into too much about it, but we have a plan moving forward to reach out later this month through a series of Zoom meetings, basically to educate and take questions from the community as it relates to the warrant article and the findings of the sewer needs assessment. So there'll be a lot of information that we're looking to share, and we're trying to put this information out on the website as we get it in a finalized version, so that we can be very transparent with our residents and our customers, providing them that information. So our focus right now is we're going to be announcing some of the information about the upcoming webinars, giving people an opportunity to sign up for them, and where we can present the findings and also give them an opportunity to ask questions. So,
Kevin, that's a really good idea. I know that the PFAS webinar you folks hosted was very well received. I know a lot of the private well owners were appreciative of getting the information, and how well LELWD has worked to get that information out and make certain safety is the foremost item on your folks' mind. Same thing going on here with the sewer and the plans that CDM is coming up with. So we look forward to learning a little bit more, I guess, on our next episode about those webinars. Again, thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Thank you very much, Kirby.
As Kevin explained, the financial analysis of wastewater management and its possible phasing is not yet available from CDM. However, we have with us today from the sunny state of Florida, Bruce Trumbull, and he's here to tell us about his role as a water commissioner, but more about his extensive background in water and wastewater management. Bruce, hello and welcome to Watson Drops. We understand that Littleton is extremely lucky to have you, your skills, and your expertise as a subject matter expert on this particular project. Can you please explain in layman's terms the variety of wastewater management technologies that you've worked with that could be used to deal with the areas of concern that Corey Godfrey, the environmental analyst at LELWD, talked about and to at the last episode?
Well, first off, thank you, Kirby, for having me here on this show, and I feel it's a great honor to be asked to explain this project to the people of our town. So my wife and I are business partners, and we've owned and operated a Littleton-based company called Small Water System Services for the past 25 years. We're an operations and maintenance company for water and wastewater utility systems in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. We operate nearly 200 water and wastewater systems, which range in size from small plazas to large mixed-use commercial properties and entire municipalities. We work with a wide variety of technologies, from the simple residential systems to large, complex, state-of-the-art plants. The Littleton Sewer Commissioners and the sewer working groups are considering a wide range of options and technologies. I have personally consulted on numerous design and build projects, and over the years have operated and maintained many water and wastewater treatment systems. In my present role as Director of Small Water Systems Services, I am intimately involved with the finances and management of these systems. So I'm really very pleased to be able to offer these services to the town through my position as elected official at LELWD, which is probably now LELWSD, which is sewer. Thank you.
That's a good point. I forgot about the SD piece of it now.
Yeah, I'm probably the first one to ever use it.
You're going to coin it right there. So a lot of good engineering, a lot of good engineering has been done by Weston and Sampson on the possible use of a quirk, the Community Water and Energy Recovery Center, which we've heard a lot about, for sewering the Littleton Common. Is this technology still being considered and evaluated, Bruce?
Yes, we're still evaluating several proposals, which include the quirk system. Part of the sewer needs assessment is evaluating several different technologies and determining which one will best serve the needs of us here in Littleton.
So, given past town meetings, citizens are concerned about the siting of any treatment plant, as obviously anybody who lived in town would be.
Yes.
Tell us about progress as far as siting, and are both town-operated properties and private lands being evaluated for possible use?
Yes. The department, the commissioners and the working group are very sensitive towards the concerns of our citizens. We have a process for evaluating the siting of the wastewater treatment plant and are looking at both private and town-owned properties. CDM, our engineering consultant, evaluated every parcel in Littleton and presented to the sewer water group the top 30 sites which met the criteria that they had laid out for the siting, which included such things as a minimum of 3 acres, distance to the discharge and collection areas, as well as conservation and land use restrictions. So the number of potential sites has been further whittled down to a handful, and we are currently evaluating these sites to determine the best location for our plant.
That's great information, Bruce. So communities are looking to share costs and infrastructure as a way to reduce initial startup costs and long-term operation costs of large-scale capital projects. We understand that CDM is looking at potentially utilizing a regional solution for Littleton, possibly partnering with another town. Please tell us about this opportunity and why it might be the best solution for Littleton, and if there are any long-term benefits or concerns about this kind of approach.
Well, great question, Kirby. And we're currently discussing opportunities that may exist between our town and the town of Ayer. We're evaluating the benefits of a regional hookup with air where our town's wastewater is conveyed to air through a series of pipes in a hybrid system that includes both gravity and forced sewer mains. The benefits to this option include lower initial costs to our town, and this will also allow us to manage a phased expansion until such time as we have grown a large enough system where it may make sense for us financially to build our own plant.
Bruce, is there anything else that you think from your perspective as a private business owner, water commissioner, that you think we should be aware of with regards to the possible solutions that you folks have been looking at?
Well, it's been a real pleasure working with LELWD. They're very smart people over there. They spun up very quickly in their sewer knowledge, and between them, the sewer working group, and our consulting engineers, I think we really have looked at most of, if not every, well, not every, but most of the possibilities of what would benefit our town to the greatest effect. So thank you.
Well, we thank you too for taking the time from that little excursion to Florida. Hopefully everything is going well for you there, sir. Thank you for taking the time with speaking with us today. And we have an opportunity, obviously, to talk with another member of the sewer working group, George Sanders, in a little while. So thank you very much, Bruce.
Yes, sir. It's been fun.
As part of the transition of the sewer project to LELWD, a working group was formed from a diverse number of town boards and committees. But LELWD was also mindful of including resident representation. Now, one person that comes to everyone's mind for such an important role is Mr. George Sanders. It's hard to forget George standing on the common with his sandwich message board or one of his colorful, thought-provoking t-shirts. George, welcome to Watson Drops. We want to ask you a few questions about the working group that you've been appointed to, their role in the sewer project, and your role as an advocate for town residents' pocketbook. Please, George, tell us about the working group. Who are the members? How often do you meet? What do you discuss? And can you please explain about the holistic approach of the working group?
Thank you very much for asking me to be here this afternoon with regard to the smart sewer system here and being an advocate for the taxpayers here in the town of Littleton. The group meets every Thursday, and the last few Thursday we're meeting at 8 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock. As this draws closer to the town meeting, they're going to meet every Thursday now in order to get the data that is needed for the working committee to make a recommendation to the Sewer and Light Commission. There's approximately 11 people that between town officials and the resident on the board. We also have anywhere between, say, 5 to 6 CDM engineers that use it on conference call. And discussion is trying to determine the size of the system that's needed for Littleton. That's number one. Number two, they determine where to build the pumping station, the plant. Number three, they'll determine whether or not they will take this system into air and discharge the water. Right now, the high school is a dumping location for discharging under the current system that the town has. However, the committee is trying to find the nuts and bolts and tie this system in as to, one, the cost that's going to cost the taxpayers or the sewer users in terms of putting in a smart sewer system. Right now, we are in the discussion of trying to get the betterment fee. That is a key factor for anybody that wants to sign up on the system. the betterment fee. So we are waiting. We're supposed to meet tomorrow, and hopefully that's Friday, which will be the 11th of September. Hopefully we will get some information with regards to what it looks like right now on the betterment fee.
So what types of information, George, are shared with the working group? And what do you see as the role of this group? You kind of alluded to it, but it sounds as if you guys are really going to be making some recommendations to town. And how is the sewer working group looking at the needs of the town in finding what the best solution is for the town?
Well, what they're going to do is make recommendation to the commission based on the information that we have received from the engineers. And what they're trying to do is that there's a certain portion of the town that they're looking at. And based upon that, the maximum amount of discharging is 244,000 gallons per day. That's the magic number right now that they are looking at. At one point, it was up to 270, but evidently it's been readjusted to show that is 244 is the number. So based upon that, they're looking at the common area as to tie in, and they're looking at tying in all the business, not crossing 495. They're looking at also the information at the point, as the point will have to expand its system over there to 80,000 gallons of discharging per day as a max. But the smart sewer system is really trying to get down to the cost. They need to be able to submit to the town meeting what is the cost looking like to put this system in, and it will not be inclusive of putting everybody in the system. They have 6 areas identified, and right now they're only working with 2 areas of putting in the sewer system. And if it maxes out the 244, they're going to stop at that location, wherever it may be, because you're looking at many years down the road here to get up to the 244. And right now, the working committee is really grinding and trying to get all the information that is pertinent, that needs to be passed on in terms of finance. The sewer system has to be treated as a business. It has to have a budget, and all those pieces has to come together. In order to do that, there's certain information that the engineers are trying to work out and trying to tell us what it will cost to build this plant. In order for us to come up and present and tell the user what is the betterment fee. I am concerned as a resident on this committee about the betterment fee. That is a crucial part of this operation. And if that fee is too high, I don't see the people passing this system to go ahead and build it, because that is a costly situation. And you got to come up with all the mechanism in terms that, are they going to have some type of loan program for the people to sign up for? People probably, if they sign up, it's not going to be a go back to, because you're going to have to put the betterment fee in there. That's just to get on the system. Then you got to put in the fee to connect from your house to the main line. And then you got to pay the sewer rates. And all this is a part of the unknowns right now with regards to this. And what the sewer working committee is trying to do is trying to get CDM, which is the consultant, to come and give us as close as possible the right number in terms of discharging and the cost to build the plant. They're looking at land to build a plant. And right now, we're waiting for the financial data before we can really go and say, okay, we recommend we already made some changes of cutting back on some items there, and that included certain areas being excluded as, a mall here for them to go forward with. So we said, let's just concentrate on 2 areas. And that is what they're doing right now, is concentrating on 2 areas, which include the common area, Great Road. And that's what we're looking at right now as to what we want to do in terms of making this information available to the commissioners, and for the commission to present a plan of attack in establishing a system here in LELWD.
Wow. So again, your role before follows you is about being a very staunch advocate for managing and understanding the costs to the residents. You've done a good job of explaining how the group is functioning and serves those purposes. Does your particular group have an outreach process or communication, or are you guys mostly focused on, hearing what CDM has to say and working through those recommendations back to the commissioners?
Well, I believe that the CDM consultant is the key factor with regards to this smart sewer system. They're the ones that are going to be able to tell us the ins and outs as to what we can do, and their recommendation as to how we should approach this. And that information, once we get it in, we will kick it around and decide what's more beneficial to the town as a whole. We might not, air is in the system of consideration of taking the sewers over to air. Well, but that's taking water out of Littleton at the same token. So you got to be concerned about, depleting water here in the town of Littleton. So if we can get a system and decide that it's more benefit to keep it into Littleton instead of going to air, then if that's the best recommendation, they're going to recommend that to the sewer commission, because we are concerned about the fact of what we are going to be able to put in as a system, because there's a cost, and as this goes down the line, the cost goes up. Every time you expand, the cost goes up. So what other situations we have? One is, do we have enough people that is going to be on the system with the opt-in and opt-out? There's consideration there to say, can we afford to do the opt-in and opt-out? Will people opt out? Will we still have enough to put a system in? That's a concern. Will we have, because that's what they started off saying, that's what they were going to do, was give the people the opportunity to opt in or opt out. And I think that for my concern as a resident, we have a lot of pieces there that if we got people that are on well water, how is that going to fit into the system? And there's a lot of things that has to be put in place. If you're going to take that in, you have to have some means of measuring the water. Right now, they're looking at using the water intake, the municipality water intake, as a means of determining how much goes down the system there. As you well know, when you start talking about your coffee shops and so forth and so on, they take in a lot of water, but it doesn't go down the system. So you have to probably have a meter system that is going to read the outlet of what goes down the system. I think first and foremost, CDM is working. There's been a lot of little changes. So one thing I really want to say is that this working committee is working dedicated in the sense of making sure that we are representing the people of this community, and we're just not throwing something together real quick and fast here. They're looking at what will affect the people in this town and what is the cost that it's going to cost these people in signing up and being on the system. And these things are so important that we're taking our time waving through the information that we're getting from CDM with regards to this sewer system. And we need the information that they need to answer the questions as to how they arrive at the figure of the cost for the betterment. That is the number one and key factor right now.
George, it sounds like you're going to be a very busy man for the next couple of weeks or before town meeting. Thank you very much for explaining the role of the sewer working group. It sounds as if you're expanding your knowledge about systems, and I wanted to say thank you as a resident of Littleton for your efforts and the working group's efforts to wade through this vast amount of material and hopefully come up with a recommendation for the town on what would best serve our needs. So thank you again, George.
Well, I thank you for having me, and at the same token, this is not my first rodeo with regards to the sewer system. I was on site and working with the city of Fitchburg there when they built the first plant, which was supposed to be able to take in Lunenburg, Leominster, Westminster, and Fitchburg. And I was also a part of when Lunenburg had to put their system in, and they tied into Fitchburg there. So there's a lot of pieces that goes in on these systems, and it's not easily. And I remember that Lunenburg charged $25,000 on the betterment fee to hook up on their sewer system over there. So there's a costly situation to hook up on this, and I'm looking forward to CDM really giving us some good data. And I think the working sewer committee is going to have to really think real hard with regards to what we're going to recommend in terms of that.
Thanks again, George. We look forward to hearing more from you in the future.
All right, thank you and have a good day.
We want to thank Kevin Hunt, Water and Sewer Systems Manager, Bruce Trumbull, LELWD Commissioner and Sewer Working Group member, and George Sanders, who we just heard from, Sewer Working Group member at large for the town of Littleton. We thank you all for being with us today. Kevin told us that the completed CDM needs assessment should be complete this month. Bruce shared his extensive knowledge about water and wastewater management. Finally, we had a chance to catch up with George Sanders to get his perspectives on the sewer working group and his unique role in the group. Thank you for watching this episode of Watson Drops. I'm Kirby Dolak from LCTV. We'll see you next episode. Thank you.